I feel like I leveled up as a DM last night because in our We Out Here game, I killed one of the players in the game last night, and we were. Wait a minute. Wait. I did not kill one of the players. I am not a murderer. What I meant to say is that one of the characters, one of the players' characters, died in the game last night. And actually, I didn't even do it. They did it to the. This vlog is off to a great start today. All right, folks. Yes, we had a death in the game last night. Oh my goodness. Of course, we're playing Dungeons and Dragons 5e, and hey, on the vlog here today, I thought I would talk some about character death and like what to do about that as you're playing these RPG games. And I just want to reflect on the great game we had last night because honestly, it was an awesome session. And of course, no one was murdered. No, it was really fun, and even the player was not like, crushed or anything like that. They weren't, heartbroken that their beloved character died in this kind of thing or anything. It just happened. The circumstances arose that put the character in jeopardy. Two of the characters sort of made some bad decisions, and one thing led to another. And unfortunately, I'm sorry, Austin. I know how it feels, man. Austin, his character failed 3 death saving throws pretty much in a row, which is even worse. Like 3 failures without a success, which is kind of like, oh, that's harsh. But everybody handled it pretty well, and I actually think it was great for the group, and for a couple different reasons. First and foremost, Austin is an amazing player. He's also our sort of youngest player. Might not be right. He might not be the youngest guy in the group, but he's definitely the newest to the game. He's been playing the least, although now he's amazing and experienced and running his own games and stuff, so he's doing great. And so I am fairly certain, I don't know for sure, but I'm fairly certain this was his first character death that he experienced in the game. For me as a DM, it was certainly the first time that I had a player's character die in the game as well. So for me running the game, it was pretty exciting, sort of. I mean, it was interesting, it was different. I felt terrible about it, of course, but at the same time, I didn't feel that bad because I'm thinking as it's happening, I'm like, man, these guys are getting it. Boy, oh boy, the party split. 2 guys went one way and 2 went another, and bad things often happen when that occurs. So they, rather than 2 of the players getting, well, luckily they managed to keep it to only 1 of them kind of going down for the count. And then of course there's always that chance, you go unconscious, you start rolling death saves. If certain things had happened, he might have been okay if he rolled 3 successes, if he rolled a d20. I decided in the game session, I was like, okay, the opponents they were fighting had sort of 2 options. One is just to to beat these people literally to death in the game, or they could, knowing that they've knocked them unconscious, then decide to take them prisoners, which we already know that these monks are evil bad dudes, and they have already been taking prisoners. In fact, the group has freed some prisoners previously, and so I thought, okay, well, maybe they would decide to take prisoners, so I let the dice decide, and I rolled a d20, and it turned out that the monks had their senses with them enough to say, all right, we're going to take these guys prisoners. So they started tying them up to bind their hands and so forth. And then because of a message spell with some little bit of help, the 2 other party members managed to get over there and set things right. But then the 3 surviving members of the party looked to their friend like, okay, let's get him back on his feet, and realized, oh no, he's gone. He's not breathing. Now what do we do? And this is why I think it's so awesome, because for me as a DM, it puts into play a whole lot of new factors. The party spent a good amount of time trying to decide, well, what do we do next? They pretty quickly realized that they at the very least need to head back to town. I sort of reminded them. They sort of knew it on their own. They were already thinking of it on their own, and I basically, I suppose you could say that I conferred, I corroborated that their ideas were in fact sound. They were thinking well, you know, maybe I could pull a favor in from my faction. One of them's thinking like, well, my family probably has some ties in the big city. Maybe we could go to Neverwinter and see what can happen there, or Waterdeep, and you know. So there are plenty of options for when a character dies in the game. And for me, like, okay, I've been playing this game for a very long time, and I remember the first time one of I vaguely remember, I'm an old fart, I vaguely remember the first time one of my characters died and how heart-wrenching and heartbreaking it is. And at the same time, it's a fantasy game. There's like amazing magic, wild, you know, make your dreams come true kind of magic. So we know that things can be done. No, there's no cleric in the party, so there was no sort of like, you know, spare the dying kind of thing gonna happen. There was no cleric in the party that could cast Raise Dead. There's no druid in the party that could do some kind of resurrection and all that. So the party is definitely limited as to what their recourse is. The nice thing is they have a pretty good amount of coin. Like they've accumulated a fair amount of treasure at this point by clearing out the monastery and some of the areas below and some other stuff they've done. So they've amassed a little bit of a small fortune, and so they know they have the resources to, let's say, go and essentially pay for a Raise Dead, which is basically the lowest level. Like within 10 days of a character passing, Raise Dead will effectively bring them back to life. So what they need to do is go find a cleric that has that ability and is willing to do it for them, either for the coin or for the favor or for, you know, okay, well, this person is part of our organization, so we're going to do it for him because he's still got work to do and so forth. So it's going to be interesting. So we sort of left on a little bit of a somber note in the session of like, they made it back to Red Larch, and now they're thinking about, okay, like, how many days will it take us to get to, I think Neverwinter is the closest city. So how many days will it take us to get to, or Waterdeep, either one would work. So because most likely the other surrounding like towns, even though they're bigger than Red Larch, they still probably wouldn't have a priest or cleric with sufficient spell levels, like, you know, to be mundane and mechanical. You know, they wouldn't be high enough level, so they wouldn't be powerful enough, we could say. So it's really interesting. So character death is this thing that, like, if you play the game long enough, you're probably gonna have to deal with it at some point. And if you haven't, you're certainly pretty darn lucky, and kudos to you. And if you haven't, I guess in a weird sort of morbid way, it's like something to look forward to, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, it was fun. It was fun for me because it was the first time it came up in one of the games I'm running. It was, I mean, I don't know, fun is the right way to say it. It was interesting. It was a good experience. I think it was probably a good experience for Austin because now as a player he sort of knows what that's like, and we'll see the process of like watching his teammates, the other party members go through the rigmarole and the trials, tribulations and such to actually get him back to life. And it's one of those things where I left it up to the party. I left it up to Austin. Basically, I said, hey, Austin, you know, what do you want for your character? Do you want Holg to be, you know, raised from the dead, or is it okay for him to kind of like, do you want to try another character? Basically, like, what do you want to do? Do you want to play something else? You want to try another character, or do you like Holg? You want to keep going with Holg? Because it's a game. We're here to have fun. We're all friends, and magic, right? Magic fixes everything. So yeah, so it was super fun. It was like, it was a fun session. Number one, it was a fun session because it was just a funny session because, you know, we're good friends now. We're cracking jokes. We're having a good time, and I have to say the role playing within this group is super awesome. To like, again, as a DM, to like sit back and just listen, like to be the audience almost for my players, has been amazing. These guys are great. They have a good time. We all have a fun time playing the game, even when it gets intense. Like, I gotta be honest, I was kind of biting my nails. I'm like, oh God, please don't do this, you guys, please. And they sort of like, they went from bad to worse. They just pushed their luck a little. They pushed their luck a little bit, and that went okay. And then they pushed their luck a little bit more, and then it was kind of like, oh no, it's all downhill from here. Luckily, they did manage. At least a few of the members managed to survive. So it was cool. I mean, it's one of those things that we all have to face in this game. If we keep playing this game, some character, whether it's a character in the party that your character has fallen in love with, or fallen, and I don't mean that like romantically in love with, but they have like some deep, meaningful, intimate relationship with, you've bonded because of the trials and challenges of life as an adventurer. It's this character that you as a person, because your friend is playing this character that you've connected with. It's even like, if you're a fan like I am of a show like Critical Role or any of the other shows, anytime it happens in the game, like, spoiler, I apologize if you don't know this or whatever, but like in the second campaign, Molly Mock was killed, and it was like, oh, I think the whole community did a collective like, oh, and it still kind of hurts a little bit. And at the same time, it's like he's constantly being honored through the game. So what happened immediately in the game was that the three other characters sort of bonded even more so over guys, we gotta save Holg. We gotta get back to town. We can't stay here. We have to get back to town and find. Do you know somebody? I think I might know somebody. My family probably knows. So there was this great role playing. It was a really cool moment, both out of character and in character. Everything that happened at the table last night, I'm absolutely pleased with, and I feel like I handled it well as a DM. I feel like the players took it well, and I just, wow, what a great session. Definitely one of my more favorite sessions that we've had so far. So I'm just looking more and more to every week with this game we out here, and wow. Hey, if you haven't noticed, the video quality's a little better. I'm looking at myself. It looks good, y'all. I think I figured out what was causing that weird fluctuation with the color and saturate. And basically it was white, but one of the auto click buttons was. Yeah, man, that's the reality. It's a vlog. Hey, thanks for being here. I'll see you at a table someday. Hey, one-shots this month. I'm going to run a one-shot this month, December 2019. I'm going to run a one-shot. I promise. So I would say within a day or two, I'm going to have the information for that. So stay tuned for that. Check out the videos down there. I'll see you at a table someday. Keep rolling 20s, and remember, it's your game. Play your way.